coming to hit him.
So the 20-year-old sophomore looking efficient here, running this offense in the flat, Field with another catch and close to first down yardage.
Jamison Field, one of multiple players who hasn't played much to this point in his career, if at all. But Raylan Singleton, another player, some young receivers that Kyle Whittingham is very excited about.
You talk about receivers, you mentioned it before. Kalen Clay has moved on. Dres Anderson's moved on. So certainly opportunity at wide receiver spots with some of the guys that are seeing some action in this game today. Manning gets the snap, handoff. Lehauli able to make a nice gain, and it'll be first and goal here for the red team. And walk-on had a lot of reps with the #1 unit this year. Rushed for over 1,700 yards, 15 touchdowns as a senior in high school at Granger High. And you have an opportunity to make a mark with that first unit. That can really showcase you for the future.
This can be the time to shine for players like Lehauli.
Another give, trying to make something out of not much there as the white defense stiffens here near the goal line.
Because we know that Devontae Booker, coming off of last fall where he had over 340 touches throughout the season, and the bulk of those coming through the last 10 games, but whether it's going to be Lehauli, they've moved Bubba Poole, as you referenced, out to wide receiver, but there will need to be someone there dependable to spell him.
And the question mark has gotten a little bit bigger with the loss of Troy McCormick here in the spring. Manning down the middle, and that's incomplete. It'll set up third and goal, trying to find Evan Moiai, one of the candidates to take the starting job at tight end. But finishing up the story with McCormick, talking to Kyle Whittingham this week, they think that knee injury may be a little bit more worse than they thought, and questionable whether he'll be able to come back in the fall.
It's part of what added to the caution for today's game, I believe, because you don't want to take that type of risk to lose additional players. You see that Sammy Linebaugh referenced it as she interviewed Kyle Whittingham. Devontae Booker's been in bubble wrap throughout the spring.
Manning down the middle and picked off.
To set defenders up for certain moves.
Manning having issues there at the line. Tui Kolovatu in the mix one more time. 23-year-old junior. Shaking off some injury issues from years past. Another guy to be an impact player for this high-powered defense in the fall of 2015.
They definitely realize he's a naturally gifted defensive lineman.
Manning in the flat to Field, got a good block. But the coverage out there for the white team strong as well to bring him down after the gain. It is enough to move the sticks for the white team.
Here we go, baby.
These Utes fans have seen an offense that's been geared towards the big play in the passing game. Some of the big hit there is Brian Allen coming up again.
The community here for Utah and all of its athletic endeavors and supporting fine institution and paying it forward a little bit, getting to watch some great football. And you see Lehauli continuing to impress. He's been quite the find. Again, the walk-on seeing more time this spring, lowering his head, blowing people up on the edge.
Well, these are the types of environments you need to be able to prove yourself. It's one thing to do it in drills or on the practice field, but in game-type situations, to show some comfortability is key.
He'll get it again. First down yardage. Got some speed inside. And you catch it out of the backfield. Again, great high school player at Granger High School. Over 1,700 yards, 15 touchdowns as a senior.
Similar dimensions to Devontae Booker, 5'11", just over 210 pounds. He's got a bit of a Devontae Booker sort of vibe going right now as he's getting stronger as this game has continued.
Nowhere to go that time. Allen gets the better of him, dragging him down. You saw Dennis Erickson, running back coach, have the opportunity to continue to work with some of those young backs.
And Brian Allen really came in, especially over the last couple of years he's been with the program, looking for time at wide receiver. I'll tell you what, I think even though he's 6'3", he may have found a home at defensive back. Corner can be difficult to play at that height, but he's had an outstanding spring game.
Manning in the flat, and that's caught. Moiai able to haul it in. Maybe the better of the receivers of the two tight ends that are battling for that #1 spot.
And of course, Siale Faka'iloatonga, the better blocker of the two, just over 250 pounds. I was really just looking for a reason to say Faka'iloatonga.
Well done. Manning up the middle. Their check it leaves off for Lehauli. And it'll be 4th down, 4th and long here for the Red. And it's go time again. Under 3 to go left in this spring game. Trailing by 6. We talked about the season tickets for a great fan there. The schedule here looking ahead to the fall. 9-4 last year. Have any thoughts on a projection here for the Utes coming in 2015?
When you look back to going into last fall, the thought was...
It's complete on 4th and long. We'll hold that thought from Anthony here for the moment as Harrison Hanley is able to make the catch and extend the drive here in the hopes of the red team. But you look at that schedule again, that showcase game to begin against Michigan, and that can fuel. You win that game, you're going to get a lot of notoriety and almost a rocket boost out of the blocks.
We saw that type of boost coming out of the Michigan victory in their 3rd game last season. But for this ball club, and especially for Kyle Whittingham specifically, I mean, this community, there were starting to be some rumblings going into last season, even though Kyle Whittingham had won so many big games and had an undefeated season previously and been to the BCS Bowls. But going into last fall, after 2 consecutive 5-7 campaigns, folks were starting to talk about whether or not his job would be safe to come back with the type of season they had. Now expectations through the roof.
Manning down the middle trying to find Hanley again, and through the hands of Hanley. It's 3rd and 12 coming up with 1:29 left.
And so I think for this team, just having, making a bowl, their goals for this season need to be far beyond that, with the amount of offensive and defensive starters returning, especially key positions. The offensive line is pretty much intact. We know they've got one of the top running backs in the country. They've got a defense that will continue to pressure the quarterback. They've got some level of continuity at coordinator. When you got 3 different All-American candidates returning in your lineup between the top tailback in the Pac-12, Devontae Booker, and then Hackett and Phillips, like we've referenced, that battery of kicker and punter. Those 3 players were such a big part of the reason they won some of those close games last season. But if they're going to try to take that next step, one of the things they've started to do is increase the speed on the exterior, the skill positions, wide receivers, defensive backs. They've done a very nice job of that. Now the depth at those positions still needs to improve a bit more. I see the depth on the offensive and defensive line now with the 2nd and 3rd string players, looking for more depth at the skill positions.
Manning to the end zone. Man open, just out of the reach. Jawan Mathis had an opportunity to put the Red on top.
Well, he may have made a mistake. He went for the ball with 2 hands, where just a moment ago we saw him make the outstanding one-handed grab in the opposite end zone. He's doing as he's coached. Jawan Mathis going up with 2 hands, a well-thrown football off the right arm of Manning, just bounces off the fingertips.
Now the Red just cashed in, and the only other 4th down going forward in this game. He'll try again this side, and that one's picked off. Now the White continuing to pitch the shutout, and Marcus Williams has an escort down the sidelines. The cutback inside the 40, inside the 30. Williams going to take it the distance to the first touchdown.